All right, we're going to be looking at assignments. I already have my editing turned on, but if you do not, your option is going to be up here in the upper right hand corner where the gear is, and then you can click turn editing on, which allows you to have the add an activity or resource on any of these topic blocks. So I have a couple assignments within topic block 2 here, and I am going to add a third one. So under the add an activity or resource, it gives you a number of different options here, but assignment is number 1. On this, it also gives you a quick overview of assignments in general, just to give you some guidance. We're going to walk through some of these settings already. So if I click add, any of the red exclamation points means that it's something that needs to have a title or be filled in. I'm just going to call it assignment 3. I can give a description here, so this is the guidance that you would be giving to your students. Also, on any of these areas in Moodle that have a text block, there's always this little button that looks like a button filled with buttons, and if you mouse over it, it says toggle toolbar. It just gives you additional editing features. So if you look, it looks like you're missing some options here, you can just click on that, and then you can use any of the different tools and functions here. So that is where you would put in any additional information. You can copy it from a Word document as well, and it is HTML, so it would retain any hyperlinks or anything else that you were linking out to that would be for guidance. Additional files are also available here, so any sort of PDFs or readings or anything else that's relevant to the assignment itself, maybe a lab file if it's for one of the labs. So we can put in multiple options there, and that too would show up within the assignment front page. Availability will give you allow submissions from. So if you wanted to have that enabled, you can have it so it only opens up from a certain point, or you could have it open whenever. But it is obviously important to have a due date. You can choose a cutoff date. I usually recommend not using this. The cutoff date is a hard cutoff, so that means that a student that comes in at 12:01 a.m., if it was due at 12, will not be able to submit. Often faculty are a little bit more lenient than that, and so they would normally take something that would have tried to have been uploaded at 12:01 a.m. What this does do, though, is by having it as a due date, anything that comes in after that will be marked in red. It's going to be easy to tell that they were overdue. So it's not that they're really getting a pass on it. You can still easily tell which students got content in late. You can also give yourself a reminder to grade by. So, we all have lots of other things going on. So just a little reminder as well. But again, I can click on that, so I'm no longer enabling it. Submission types, there are a couple different options. The one that's called Online Poodle, that is an audio recording option. It's used more for languages, but that one is an option as well. The main one that we usually use is file submission, so that can be any number of files, images, PDFs, Word documents and such. Online text is literally just a text block so that you could type something in. So if you just wanted a quick response, you had a discussion in class and you wanted everyone to write a quick paragraph giving their analysis or viewpoints or anything like that, and it's not really critiqued more on structure or any sort of higher level writing assignment. It's really just a quick response. So you could have that as an option as well. And just a reminder, on any of these things, you get these question marks, so it will give you a little bit more information about any of these things. So if you're unsure of what some of these things are, so for instance, Online Poodle, you're able to record audio, video, snap pictures, or use a whiteboard as per the Poodle submission settings for this assignment. So if you wanted to play around, you could always say, okay, I do want to try that, and see if that would maybe be something that's useful for my particular class. Feedback types, you can give comments, you can annotate a PDF, set up so feedback files. You can use Poodle as well as a response. Again, recorder options. Submission settings require students to click the submit button. No. So as long as they uploaded something, then it should go through. Require that students accept the submission statement. No. Again, that's a kind of a catch, so that someone has tried to upload something and they just didn't do that final thing. Well, it still is set up. Attempts reopened. At this point, we are not going to reopen it once the student has submitted it. So you can do those. Group submission settings. On the participants video, I did talk about groups. I did set up a group so you could have it so students can submit in groups. Required groups to make a submission. So you can play around with some of these options depending on what your needs are. I would say that most often for assignments, they're not using this for the group submission, but that is also an option. Notifications notify graders about submission, and the grader is you, not the student. So if enabled, graders, usually teachers, receive a message when a student submits an assignment. Early, on time, and late message methods are configurable. So again, some of these notifications might be helpful for you. So to give you a quick little prompt, someone has submitted something, but if you have a course of 30 students and you don't want to get 30 individual emails, then that's why these are often set to default no. Grade. You can set up some grade features directly in the assignment. You can also come in later and make some adjustments on the gradebook itself. So often I recommend starting with the gradebook, creating some categories, for instance. So you could set up categories in advance, which I have on this one. So I have papers, quizzes, and tests. So let's say this assignment is actually something I'm deeming as a paper. Because I've set up those categories in advance, all of these can be lumped into the same area. It's not required, obviously, but if you are planning on using the gradebook, sometimes just thinking ahead and outlining a couple features can save time in the end. Common module settings, probably not anything we are really looking at, but just showing you that they do exist. These two, though, are new. Well, restrict access has always been available, but coupled with the activity completion, it can be a new element that could come in handy for various reasons within a course. Essentially, activity completion tracking, it allows you to have students either manually mark that an activity is completed, show activity as complete when conditions are met, or do not indicate activity completion. What this means is that if I had a series of things, I wanted students to, it's sort of a scaffolding. I want them to learn, go through a series of different scenarios, assignments, readings, things like that. So if I had a topic block that's all related to one reading, they have to do the reading, they have to do a quick response, they have to, write a paper, they have to submit a podcast, things like that. So there are 4 different elements and they have to do them in sequence. Or for instance, for a podcast, maybe they have to write the script first and then they have to do the podcast. So I can have it so that the students themselves can manually mark it, or that they actually have to do something. So for instance, if I'm having them write a script, the expectation is they're going to submit a file to me. So in this case, I could say, show the activity is complete when conditions are met. So students must view the activity to complete it. Students must receive a grade. Students must submit to this activity to complete it. So for instance, in this one, I'm going to say, they're going to be required to upload some sort of file to the assignment, and then it'll have a little check mark next to it. You can say, you can put in a date if you want to expect completed by, but we do already have a due date as well. You can also add an additional layer to this. So there is an option here that says restrict access, and I can say activity completion. So what this allows me to do is it allows me to say a student must match the following: activity completion, they must complete assignment 2, and that assignment must be marked as complete, and then this one would show up. So if I hit save and return to course, it now even shows it. So what it shows in our faculty view, it shows that assignment 3 is gray, meaning that a student won't even see that it exists until they complete assignment 2. So it makes it so people can't jump ahead. So if there's a reason why you don't want folks to jump ahead or even see what's coming up next, or maybe the midterm doesn't unlock until they have done a couple other pieces, or it could be a 3-part midterm. They have to do 1, 2, 3, something like that. So it'll show you that this activity is not marked until is not completed until it's marked. You can also see that all 3 of these has the activity completion because it has the checkbox next to it. I have already set up activity, or said that activity completion is something that I want for this course, but you do have to set that up in advance. So up in the upper left-hand corner there, under the gear, we do have course completion, and that is available because when we went into edit settings, so there's edit settings here, one of the options in here when you're first setting up your course, you can say, do I want completion tracking turned on? Yes, I do. And then under course format, there's a section progress bar. This is another option that you could have. And I think that if you do have completion tracking on, it's super helpful to have. So I do have display a progress bar for each section. So if I come back here and say, save and display, it doesn't show it in this view, but once I turn off my editing, you'll see it here. So I have a little completion bar. I did already submit something on assignment 1, and you can see that I can click on number 2 here, and I can view all submissions as a faculty member. Shows how many people are participating in it. Again, this is just looking at a general view, but I can come up here and I can say I'm going to switch my role to a student, and now you can see it looks like I have, as a student, already submitted this one, and then I can select it. So I can allow for manual selection, or that I have to actually complete something for it. So on this one, it was just allowing me, I set it up for manual completion. But you can see that assignment 3 unlocked then. It now shows up because I had created it. I am seeing this right now because I'm kind of a dual look. I'm both a student and still an administrator. But if I came in directly as one of your individual students, I would not see assignment 3 until it was fully unlocked for me. There is also a section on the side on course completion status. If you don't have that one available, let me just get back out and go to my return to my normal role. Let's see here. We have to turn our editing back one more time. You get an add a block here, and so it'll give you any number of options, and one of them is the course completion status. So it shows sort of empty for me, but as a student it would show any sort of additional things that they should be doing in sequence that are coming up and are due. So there are a couple different options on the activity completion. So starting small and just working on a little block. So usually, or actually one requirement is that you are creating the parameters within a particular topic. So these 3 are related and they are in topic 2, but I wouldn't have this do this related to something that is updated up here. So you generally want it to be in sequence, 1, 2, 3, all in the same block, so it's very easy for a student to follow as well.